Good afternoon, everyone. This is Sadia Zafar from HRAI. I would like to welcome you to today's session on the 3 rings to success. This is brought to you by ClimateCare. In this session, Glenn Mellers from ClimateCare will talk to you about how to increase your closing ratio by mastering the 3 rings of success. For housekeeping, please note that on the control panel of your screen, there is a Q&A feature. Please use that Q&A feature to ask your questions at any time during the webinar. They will be addressed at the end of the session. Also note that this webinar is being recorded and the recording will be shared with you following the session. We will begin the presentation with Glenn Mellers. Welcome, Glenn.
Thank you, Sadia. I appreciate that. Good afternoon, good morning to everyone. Congratulations if you've been here for the first 2 sessions. This is the final chapter to put a nice little bow on Business 101. So I'm going to be sharing that information with you. Just as a brief history of myself, for those that don't know, I've been in the industry 43 years now. I've spent the last 15 years coaching businesses to succeed. We're all about having fun, making more money, and preparing our businesses for our exit strategy when that time comes, and to be able to maximize on the rewards when we go to sell our businesses. So thank you for that. And we're going to get into it. It's going to be a little bit interesting. You're going to have some aha moments. You're going to have some horsebucky moments where you're not really going to believe what I'm saying. My data comes from having spent since 2000, since the year 2000, so 21 years now, of tracking small businesses' KPIs. Critical performance measures or key performance indicators. So this is data collected in Canada from contractors just like yourself. So sit back, relax, have your pen and paper ready, and let's get started. So as I mentioned, this is the final chapter. If you're having any questions about any of the previous presentations, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will give you my contact details at the end. So the 3 rings to success. This is something that was born when I was with Service Experts. In the year 2000, I joined Service Experts as their district sales and marketing person. So my job, my goals were to increase business without spending any more money. And so I struggled for about 9 months trying to figure out how could I impact these small businesses that have been in business for 20 or 30 years and increase their revenue and their productivity without spending any money. And just prior to Christmas, that first year that I was with Service Experts, the president of Service Experts came to me and he says, I need to have some guidance and some suggestions as to what exactly you do here in Canada, because in the 6 months that we've been here, you've been here, that we've seen some significant growth within our locations. And so I spent the week of Christmas writing a small, not a diary so much as a novel, to present to him on the first day back after the Christmas vacation. And so proudly that morning, I walked in with about a half-inch book, half-inch thick book of pages describing what exactly it was that I was doing. And he glanced through the book and then turned to his wastebasket, dropped it in the wastebasket and said, before I leave today, I'm getting on a plane tonight to head to Dallas. I need to have 1 page of what you're doing. And so I locked myself in a room with another fellow, and we talked about the things that we had impact on. And from there, I developed what I call the 3 rings of success. So we'll get into the program. This session is about altering the past. Now, we can't change the past, and it's no surprise that you can't fix what you don't know is broke. So really what the first 2 sessions was all about determining what your past looked like. And the past is a past. It gives us a history. It gives us a starting point of where we can go. And it's how we're going to alter the past to create a better future for everyone. Fast facts about a $1.5 million company. Now, if your company is larger than 1.5, simply just multiply the 1.5 by the denominator that would equal your company. But I focused on a $1.5 million company to be able to start off with improving their revenue significantly by fixing some of the things that were broken, but very hard to identify. So if we look at this Fast Facts company, a $1.5 million company, their annual spend for marketing was about $50,000. Now, when I'm talking about marketing, I'm talking about what makes the phone ring. There's a difference between advertising and marketing. Marketing is what you do to create brand awareness, the brand being your company. Advertising is promoting a certain product at a certain price or a certain discount. If we do our marketing well, we don't have to do a lot of advertising. Advertising is spur of the moment. It's typically a one-shot Charlie or one-horse Charlie. You get to spend your money on one big ad and it's over and it's done with within 24 hours. And so what we like to do with our marketing is create a sense of every time someone sees an ad about products or services that we run, or that we service and sell, is that they think of us first. So even though Lennox has a $1,500 cashback or Carrier has a $1,500 cashback, that triggers the person to think, I should call Joe's Heating and see what his price is. So that's what I talk about when we're talking about making the phone ring efforts or marketing dollars. So the average annual number of inquiries generated by a $50,000 spend is 1,000 inquiries. So that's 1,000 times that the people would contact your office and say, I'm interested in, my furnace is broken, I need some air conditioning, I'm interested in a product or service that you sell. So that's what I refer to as an inquiry. Now, the customer service representative or the person answering the phone, typically when I've gone around and talked to companies, probably in the neighborhood of 100 companies at least now, the first thing that I say is, what is your conversion rate of phone calls to appointments? When that phone rings and it starts off with, I'm interested in, do you supply this? Do you sell this? My furnace is broken. Do you do maintenance? The typical conversion rate on a company today is about 50%. So out of 1,000 people calling, that person's going to turn that call into a point of action, which now becomes an opportunity, about 50% of the time. I get a lot of dispute over that number, but then I start inquiring to that customer service rep. Do you ever get someone calling, I just want a price over the phone? And do you give a price over the phone? No, we're not allowed to give a price over the phone. So I tell the people when they call, I'm not allowed to give a price over the phone. And how does that typically go for you? Well, the customer usually hangs up. Well, how often would that happen? Oh, out of 100. How often? Oh, maybe 15 times out of 100. Okay. What about service appointments? When someone calls and asks, how much is your service call? And you say it's $149 just to send a truck out. And then what they'll do is give you a price on the repair. Oh yeah, that happens a lot. And what typically happens? Well, they'll either book the call if they've done business with us before, or they will say they're going to call back. And sometimes they call back, sometimes they don't. Well, how often does that happen? Well, that's probably 20 times out of 100. Okay. And what about maintenance? Oh yeah, that's a tough one. I get people asking all the time what maintenance is. And how often would you book a maintenance? Well, maybe 25 out of 100 calls, I would book a maintenance. So before we knew it, we were down to 50% or 47% call conversion rate to appointment. This is pretty traditional with a customer service representative answering the phone that hasn't been properly trained. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Fast facts number 2, $1.5 million company, their closing rate to appointment is 45%. 45% was considered a pretty good number If you could convert 45% or close 45% of your sales inquiries in the home, you're doing pretty good. So the number of sales for that company, that $1.5 million company, is 225 sales. So that's pretty much one install every day for the allotted days that you have available for you for the year. If you remember, if you go back to session 1 and session 2, we talked about efficiency rating. If we can get 200 installs out of a crew per year, we're doing pretty darn good. Average ticket price, $4,500. That's pretty good. It's not your inexpensive furnace or your most inexpensive air conditioner. So $4,500 is pretty reasonable. Gross sales on those appointments, $1,012,000 and $1,012,500. And if you add in your demand service and your maintenance, you're going to get pretty close to a $1.5 million company. So that's a pretty traditional $1.5 million company. Let's look at some hard facts rather than fast facts. Our hard facts is that it costs approximately $50 every time the phone rings. You've spent $50 over the course of the year for every single phone call. And quite frankly, I'll touch on this again later, when I was doing training, or if I am doing training, I would tape a $50 bill to the receiver of the phone so that it was a visual to remind us all that this phone call is costing the company $50. What are we going to do with this call? Are we going to try to get off it as fast as we can? Are we going to be snarly? Are we, just come off a bad call? Are we in a bad mood? We're going to think about that because we're going to be reminded of that $50. Now, we convert 50% of the phone calls into appointments. So that means every in-home visit has cost us $100 in marketing dollars. And if we look at a cost to sale at 45%, we're looking at a cost per sale in marketing dollars of about $222. And when we look at that, we look at the net conversion rate. So 100 people phoned, 50 got appointments, 22 made an acquisition from us. So 22 out of every 100 people that expressed interest actually did business with us. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. When I first started in 2000, the average conversion rate, net conversion rate, was about 16%. And that was based on, a fast facts of 40% conversion rate from phone call to appointment and a 40% closing rate on appointment to a sale. So the industry itself has improved, but we're at about 22 out of every 100. And only you know what your numbers are. So I'm not really telling you what your numbers are. I'm saying this is how we're going to identify opportunities within your business to increasing your revenue by 25 to 30% without spending any more marketing dollars. Is that something that would be music to your ears? Is that something you'd be interested in hearing about? I would have to think so. 25 to 30% increase on $1.5 million is another $500,000. Takes you to a $2 million company pretty quickly. And if you're even better than that, or starting point is worse than the average, then you can see upwards of 30. I've seen in my lifetime a 50% pricing, a 50% increase in revenue. When I was at Service Experts, my target or my starting point was $9 million with the branches I was responsible for, and took it to $14 million without spending a single dime on marketing. We spent all of our efforts on training. So identify the 3 rings of success this way. It starts off with the phone ringing, then the doorbell rings, that's us entering the house, and then collecting cash or payment for revenue generated by what we do. That's making the cash register ring. So our phone ring depends on our marketing. Our doorbell ring is our in-home appointments. Our cash register ring is monthly plan maintenance revenue, demand service, retrofit sales, indoor add-on sales. It all equals growth and profit when it's properly positioned and the processes are in place. So we're going to move into step-by-step processes. I hope I'm not going too fast for you. If I am, please send a chat message and Sadia will slow me down here. But let's talk about the step-by-step processes. So we've got the phone ringing, we've got the doorbell ringing, and we've got the cash register ringing. Each of these are considered a byproduct of the previous action. So it's a reaction to an action. Our goal today is to improve the quality of reaction and action from each and every inquiry that we get. It's not as hard as you think. So it all starts with wisely spending our marketing dollars. There was days when the yellow pages would capture far more than $50,000 for a company that's $1.5 million. Newspaper was also a very large expense. What we have now is we've got the internet, we've got social media, we've got the ability to market and advertise on our websites, to create an online store, if you will, so that people can shop us. We also have storefront opportunities to have people come through our door. And of course, they're all going to lead to making that phone ring or making someone come in and create an inquiry on a product or service that you have. How we deal with that is going to change. So now that we understand each inquiry is now worth $222 or costs us $222, the big question I have is, who do you have converting your inquiries into actions? And I talk about this because I came from the industry. I've been in the industry for 43 years. I have seen what we do with our telephones. Typically, the last person hired is the first person on the phones. It's like it's a nuisance or a pain in the butt to answer the telephone. So we hired Frankie. Frankie can answer the phone now. My question is, do you have them trained? I was coaching one business owner a few years back, and his daughter was in college, sweet girl, but she was not capable of multitasking. And so when talking to him and coaching, we saw a slide in his revenue. And he said, you know, it's really tough right now. You know, people are just interested in the price. Business has slowed down. You know, I'm selling the calls that I'm getting into, but I'm just not getting in the home. People are getting 10, 12 phone quotes. I sat there and I listened to the phone ring a few times. And then very quickly I said, how much time did you spend training your daughter to answer the phone? Well, not really anything. I mean, you say our name and good morning or good afternoon, and then you just take the call and take a message or do whatever you're going to do. I said, I'm listening to your daughter turn away customers one after another after another. Well, what do you mean by that? I said, let's listen to what they're saying on the phone. Oh, you're interested in buying a furnace, are you? When do you think you'll be buying that furnace? Oh, well, why don't you give us a call back in the fall when you're ready to make the purchase? How much is a furnace? I don't know. I've never been told, and quite frankly, I'm not supposed to give you a price over the phone. How much is a service call? Well, it's $109 just to send out our truck. And when they get there, they're going to take a look at what it is that you need, and then they'll tell you how much the price is going to be. And that it results in a click. So with some training and it just took literally 3 hours to take this person from missing 75% of opportunities to collecting 75% of opportunities. Things like how much to do a service call instead of being $109 to send out a truck. We converted that conversation into value proposition and then price, such as how much for a service call? Have you ever done business with ABC Heating before? Well, no, I haven't. Well, let me explain to you what you can expect. We're going to send a fully trained, fully licensed, complete service vehicle with most parts on it, all the tools necessary to do a diagnostic. They will take a look at what failed. They'll take a look at why it failed. They'll explain to you what's happening now and what will happen after the repair. and they'll put together 2 or 3 options for you to choose from before you move ahead with a repair. Now, the fee for that service is $109. Would morning, afternoon, or evening be best for you? And all of a sudden, these calls started turning into appointments. Yes, I'd like to get a price on an air conditioner. Have you ever done business with ABC Heating before? No, I haven't. Well, may I take a moment and explain what you can expect when dealing with this? Certainly. Well, we're going to send out a fully trained and competent comfort advisor to take a look at your needs, wants, and desires. They're going to take a look at what the house requires in the form of a heat loss and gain. They're going to take a look at your current utility spend and compare it to a future utility spend. They'll review any grants, promotions that are available to you. And they'll put together 2 or 3 options for you to review so that you can make a wise decision on purchasing what's right for you. That sounds great. When can they come out? So it's very important for us to listen to what our CSRs are saying, because what they're really maybe saying is, we really don't know what we're talking about, and I'm not sure that we want to do business with you. Remember, CSRs in the first phases of their life will regurgitate what your technicians are saying because you haven't spent any time with them. And so not necessarily is that the message or the way that the technician is talking about converted into a conversation that is friendly with the customer. Very important to look at that. So the conversion currently is 50%. So my next question is, do they actually know what their role is? Do they understand that the only success to a phone call is one of 3 things: a service visit, a maintenance visit, or a replacement opportunity for our comfort advisors? Everything else is an unsuccessful call. Success comes from getting us in the house. Have you provided them with scripts like I just read off to you there a few minutes ago? If you haven't, maybe you should look into getting some scripts for them. It's very important today for them to express value before they ever talk about dollars and cents. And so if they don't have the ability to impart value before they offer pricing, the standard response is, I'm going to call around and I'll get back to you. And the last thing I want to mention about the conversion is, do they book the call or pass it off to the sales team? This thing is horrible. You've seen ads on television about someone answering the phone and going, sales line 3, sales line 4, sales line 7, when they have one salesperson. The comfort advisor or sales advisor is not to be sitting in the office taking phone calls. They earn their living by being inside of a home. It is our obligation to them to get them into the home. Our comfort advisors should be giving us a minimum 40-hour opportunity for us to book calls for them to keep their schedule busy. We don't want to be passing the call over to a salesperson if they're in the office, because what will happen is nature will take over and the salesman will be a salesman and they will start selling on the telephone. I have had little to no success in the past with someone trying to sell over the telephone. If they are successful, it's based on the lowest price that the consumer has heard so far that day. So our role as a customer service representative, excuse me, is to book a call, book a service call, book a maintenance call, book a sales call. That's the success. So if we target 65%, which is very easy to do, I mentioned to you that I was at this client's place and talking with his daughter. We hit 65% within 2 to 3 hours of me talking with that person. We started to train them. We asked them to keep score. We asked them to keep score just on a simple piece of paper to start off with. Answer the phone, that's a tick mark. Did it start off with, I'm inquiring about a product or service that you have, tick mark. If it's Mark calling from the supply house, can you tell Bob that his part is in? We don't record that call. But we're going to record anything that's an inquiry, and we're going to put a tick mark beside it if we were capable of booking an appointment. And there's twofold reasons, and this is what I explained to them before we start this tracking. Number one is obviously we want to know what our conversion rate is, because we're going to build our budgets around conversion rate. But number two is the marketing that I'm doing attracting the right people? If my phone's ringing on the hook, off the hook, looking for a $1,995 air conditioner, what message have I put out there? Obviously, the consumer thinks I have air conditioners for $1,995. So if we can keep score, it does two things. It identifies training opportunities, and it identifies changing up our marketing strategy if it's delivering the wrong customer. Don't be afraid to role play with them within the office and have some fun with it. Right? You know, be that arrogant customer, be that pessimistic customer. Let them be that customer and role play back and forth how that phone call can be converted into a very good revenue generating phone call. And if you don't have the ability to train yourself, seek out professional training. There's lots of great CSR training out there. We have it available through ClimateCare. There's lots of organizations that have great training. And last but not least, let's make sure that everybody understands the cost of that phone. So if that phone is ringing and they're not in the mindset to answer that call, ask someone else in the office to answer that call. And let's face it, it happens. You just got off a phone call from having a piece of leather torn off your back a foot wide. So how are you going to attend that next call? Not very well. So if I understand the value of that call and I stay engaged with that call and I'm not capable of being engaged, it's okay to have someone else answer the phone. Okay. So for lead generation, we need to get others involved. So it's not only the CSR that's responsible for generating our opportunities in the house, but service techs as well. 24% of these demand service calls should return some sort of a sales lead, be it a replacement, be it a indoor air quality item, a humidifier, condensate pump, a water heater, a water softener. Any product or service that you have, they should be bringing back 24% of those into a sales lead. Maintenance calls should turn into 10% sales leads. So when we're out there for maintenance, we should be observing what else is in the home. Rodney Koop has a great video on YouTube. Koop is K-O-O-P. He talks about the revenue left behind from a service tech and a maintenance tech and a sales advisor. Now, the typical revenue left behind on a service tech is about $350. The typical revenue left behind on a maintenance visit is closer to $1,000. And the typical revenue left behind for a comfort advisor is about $3,500. And yes, I'm saying $3,500. A lot of opportunity there that we're stepping over. One of the things I do see is the techs have the opportunity to write on the service work order or in the service work order program that you're using recommendations to that customer. And my question is, who's following up with those recommendations? I have gone through stacks and stacks of invoices that the technicians have put a revenue generating opportunity on that no one has followed up with. So we need to have a follow-up process so that we can capture more opportunities to be able to create more revenue. So if we look at what we had before and what we're talking about now through some of the training, we can, and the process that we've outlined so far, it will provide an additional 100 to 300 opportunities to convert. That's just opportunities to convert. Combined with the original leads, we have about 1,250 opportunities now. So an additional 250 people saying, I want to do business with you. Who's accountable for those leads? Now, we talked about each lead's worth $225. I like to think of a lead as an inventory item. It's a $225 inventory item. Now, if you bought 50 rolls of copper and each roll of copper was worth $225, and you went to the shelf to get a roll of copper and there were none left, what would you do? First thing that we'd probably be doing is, where's all the copper gone? Second thing we're going to do is look at how much we build out. If we only build out 50% of it, what happened to the other 50% of the copper? And it's gone. It's not on the trucks anymore. We're ordering more copper. Same thing happens with leads. If we have 100 leads and only 50 get attended to, who's responsible for those other 50 leads? You have someone in your office that's a sales lead coordinator, who's typically like the I'm not going to say the coach, but the keeper of the key. They're the ones that have a book that says, Mrs. Jones called, Mrs. Smith called, Mr. Smith called, Bob called, Ted called, and what happened to those calls. And debrief after those visits so that you have a clear understanding of what happened. Every single call that comes in should be tracked to the point of the end, the cash register ringing. And so it's going to give us a clear understanding of what our net conversion rate is. And it's going to make you ask the question, where did those $225 leads go? You said you had 100 phone calls last month and we only went to 25 leads and only sold 12 jobs. What happened to the rest? Did they get dropped on the floor, fall out of the back of the truck, get given away? Who knows? We want to know. So when we look at the new results, we look at our original opportunities of 1,000. Our service leads and maintenance leads generated another 250 inquiries. So we're at 1,250 opportunities. And our conversion rate based on training is now at 65% of all inquiries. We've just made the doorbell ring 813 times, up 313 times, or an increase of 39% over where we were just the month before. That's all it takes. 30 days, and this is what reality can look like within your organization. Ring number 2, the doorbell ring. This is our opportunity to wine and dine, to schmooze, to enamor the person that we're with. It's our first date. How would we treat that customer if we were on our first date with a new spouse opportunity? What we've done is we've created more opportunities to get into homes. And now we need to be on guard to sell something. That's why we're there. But we need to explain why we're there. We need to complete a sales call on the first visit. All too often I hear that the people have to go back to their office to prepare an estimate. Horse pucky. Be prepared on site to be able to deliver a 3-option replacement sale, a 3-option service sale, a 3-option maintenance agreement. How do you get 3 options out of those? Let's talk a little bit about the maintenance real quick. Typical maintenances are an annual maintenance, which is a precision tune-up. I like to refer to it as it's a service visit on steroids. So we're going out there to look at the equipment, and we're going out there to put the equipment in good condition, operating condition for the season. That's our basic entry level plan that we have available. Comfort and care plan, we'll call them. The next one is a comfort and care plus plan, where you can add in not only a maintenance, but perhaps you could add in a annual warranty, year-over-year warranty, perpetual warranty on parts and labor if they have that plan. And then the third one is possibly a parts and labor warranty only. Typically, you would have that underwritten by a third-party warranty company. But there are people that just want a parts and labor warranty, so we can offer that. So there's our 3 options. We can go in and talk to them about a maintenance only visit on an annual basis with a lot of benefits. So I should have said the difference between a precision tune-up and an annual maintenance. Precision tune-up comes with, it's just an act. It's part of a service call. I come out to your house, I diagnose what's failing on your furnace. It's basically neglect. So the remedy for that is going to be a precision tune-up. Once I accomplish the precision tune-up, I'm going to be talking to that customer about how the importance of having that done on a regular routine basis once a year, and how if they convert that precision tune-up into a planned maintenance agreement, that they can save money today, and they go on a monthly payment plan, monthly subscription. And what that does is it gets them things like an added discount on service and repairs, discounted purchases of equipment. It gives us the opportunity to be in their home selling something on an annual basis, and they're getting rewarded for that with things like first in line service, priority service call, no after hours service calls, no evening or weekend after surcharges. Everything that's included when that customer becomes a subscription customer to your maintenance plans. When it comes to demand service, we have our demand service repair. Then option 2 could be, we have the repair option here for you, but we also have a maintenance option. The maintenance option could have avoided a repair such as this. And if you were to go on the monthly subscription plan with the maintenance, they would save you 20% today. So virtually, it could save you the entire cost of an annual maintenance. Would you like to take a look at that, please? The third option is, we're at that point where the equipment is getting close to the end of life. I would recommend to you that you should start budgeting for a new piece of equipment. Would you like me to run through the cost of replacing this piece of equipment with a new upgraded, with warranties, upgraded with safety features, and upgraded with efficiency features? Would you like me to go through that? So there's our 3 options. And then, of course, we talked about the sales visit. We have an option 1 being the entry level equipment, option 2 being something more substantial than that, and option 3 may be a flexible payment subscription plan where it's an ongoing monthly payment for the equipment and for service and maintenance. But by all means, make sure that you're equipped with all the tools necessary to be able to put those opportunities, those 3 opportunities in front of that customer while you're there. It's going to dramatically increase your closing rate. When we talk about the 5-step sales process, we're going to review that again. It's attention, interest, desire, conviction, close. Attention, we got to start by explaining why we're there today. Let them know that you have multiple solutions. Let them know that you have flexible payment terms and that you have a system to fit everyone's budget. Interest, share with them what's possible. Ask a lot of questions and take notes. You know, if they really want something to do something that may be outside of our norm, and if it's possible, let's put together a solution. You know, Mrs. Smith, if I was able to satisfy that in the building of this system, is that something you'd like me to add on? Well, we're already setting the stage for it's going to be higher than the normal by adding it on. Is that something you'd like me to add to the quotation or add to the options list? Get them to envision what the perfect home solution is for them. Try not to jump to conclusions, and try not to give them a solution before you've done a complete diagnostic on the home. That includes heat loss, heat gain, and utility cost analysis. So we want to know what we're going to explain to them, why we're doing a heat loss, heat gain. Obviously, there's, in most cases, almost 95% of cases, you're going to be changing the size of the piece of equipment. And we need to explain to them why we're changing it and how the new piece of equipment will be sufficient to be able to provide optimum comfort for their particular home. Review your findings with them and paint a before and after picture. Explain to them what's currently happening now, and then cover off the things that are uncomfortable. You mentioned that you couldn't get heating in the back bedroom. You mentioned that there's a cold breeze across the living room floor when the furnace isn't running and it's just on fan. And then paint them a picture of all those things that you can do for them that's going to provide that sanctity that they're looking for. Review current energy spend and a savings impact strategy. Look at what they're spending today, what the future could be. Is there enough money there to be able to help fund part of that purchase? And conviction. Are we the type of company that you would like to do business with? If you haven't convinced them that you're the type of company to do business with in the first place, there's nothing more you can say for the rest of that visit that's going to convince them, regardless of your price, to do business with you. Ask them if they fully understand the savings and comfort opportunity that they have. They might not have realized that. And are they comfortable with your flexible payments options? That's a big point. You know, when we look back at, or we dig into the art of closing a sale, often we find the number one reason that they say the price is too high is because you haven't given them the opportunity to be able to afford the payments, to be able to afford to buy your product. By providing flexible payment options, we can increase our closing rate because we literally can give anyone any system for any price that they want to pay. Flexible payment options now go anywhere from 1 year, 12 equal payments, all the way up now to 20 years amortized monthly payments. And then last but not least, before you go for the close, does our strategy make sense to you? Is this what you want to see? If you can get yeses to all these questions, the opportunity to close is going to be much greater. It's going to be at least 30 to 50% greater than in the past when you didn't do this. Present at least 3, but no more than 4 options. We don't want to confuse the customer. We don't want to use 3 different brands as for the customer. We're going to be talking about the benefits and features of that system. So don't talk about, oh, we can give you a Lennox and we can give you a Carrier and we can give you a Trane and we can give you a Goodman. What we're really selling here is features and benefits, efficiencies and warranties. Ask them to select what options make the most sense to them, and then build your presentation around it. When we want to close, we've got the customer saying, yes, you're the company I want to deal with. Yes, I'm comfortable with the system that you have put together for me. Yes, I really like the warranties. Yes, I like the flexible payment plan. Then and only then do you have the ability or permission, was what I should say, to ask them when they start to like enjoying the benefits of this new system. Next Tuesday be good enough? How about next Monday? How about this Friday? Based on the system selected and the price payment option you're comfortable with, how soon would you like to place your order? Those are questions that you have permission to ask because you've gotten permission all the way along. So with proper practice and training and partnering with the best possible supplier for your product needs, and let's be honest, the box is nothing more than a component to an install. The brand is who you are and what you represent as far as your morals and your philosophies and your goals to deliver exceptional service and satisfaction to your customers every day. Partner with a great flexible payment option company. It's very important to have those people working with you. And let the customer at all times stay in control. You're there to guide them, not to push them. By doing that, you're going to increase your closing rate. They're going to be very comfortable with you. And through these steps, we have increased our closing rate from 45% average to over 61%. And that is a fact. The team that I'm working with, we are over 61, on our way to 62% closings each and every time. And we are on a track where we are converting 85% of inquiries into opportunities. Why do I bring that up? I bring that up because the first thing you're going to have is your salespersons are going to complain that they're not talking to the customer before they get there. The second thing is that they want to choose a time and a place to present. We're going to take that away from them. So our first year goal is not to move the bar on our closing rate, but let nature take its course. Comfort advisors are typically run by the ability to win, a little bit ego driven. I know because I am one. So nature itself will maintain your closing rate. It's only going to improve with the talents that you give them. and going from 45% to 61%, it's an increase of 36% closing rate. Tremendous, tremendous. Ring number 3, the cash register ringing. This is the important one. You know, we talked about your company, average ticket price starting out at $4,500. It's a typical furnace or AC standalone sale. Very common in our industry. But as a business owner, I wouldn't accept that average ticket price. I believe it's time to increase your average ticket price. Let the customer choose what is best for them. All too often, especially as owners salespeople are the toughest ones. They sell from their own pocket. Well, I wouldn't buy that, so I'm not going to sell it to you. Well, I wouldn't buy a Ferrari, but if I was selling cars and the person wanted it, I would be glad to sell it to them. The other thing is, don't sell from your inventory. I mean, it's a little trickier in COVID. I agree. But I have also had contractors I've worked with that they will buy a bulk buy in spring or fall for furnaces or air conditioners on one particular model. And then when they get to the house, they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. They're trying to force that customer to buy what they have on the shelf. That's not letting the customer stay in control. That's not presenting options that they're going to be feeling comfortable with about choosing. Again, let the customer choose what's in the best interest of them. Let's look at our add-on sales items. You know, we have done in the past, we've videotaped our technician going in the house, and then while they're focusing on what they're doing for their job, we're panning the house. Panning the house, we're seeing a water heater covered with rust, or the floor is damp around the water heater. A water softener that's been unplugged and the lid's off of it to keep mold from growing inside of the brine tank. A humidifier that hasn't seen a pad in 10 years. The air filter is sucked into the fan, and in the airway is duct tape covering over the hole where the filter went in. They've got small children running around. They've got colds and flus and viruses that they're passing from one person to the other. That's going to provide us with UV opportunity. As you know, and I'm just going to touch on this, an air filter is not an air filter until it exceeds 8 MERV. Our lungs operate, and our fuselage in our nose operates at an 8 MERV. So anything less than an 8 MERV, we have a better chance of filtering it in our nose than the furnace does. Anything over 8 MERV is going to protect the human from the airborne particulates. So we want to be looking somewhere 10 to 12 air filtration MERV rating. Great products out there, great average ticket price, great opportunity. Other items, garage heaters, really big since COVID. Garage heaters, people are starting to turn their garage into living space. HEPA filters, getting a big lift on HEPA filters again through colds and flus and viruses and COVID. Whole home dehumidification and whole home humidification. Always a tremendous opportunity there. Whole home dehumidifiers can dramatically reduce the heat load on a home and reduce energy bills. HRVs and ERVs, nothing like a good air exchange to make for healthy air. And with thermostats today, there is so many to choose from. Everyone's into either Alexa or Siri. Make them available. Have them on your truck. Present them as an option, as an add-on sale. When interviewed, 48% of the people, when asked, would have bought at least one add-on item from the list that I just discussed here. Most of them would have selected multiple items. The average add-on sale is between $2,000 and $3,500. That's a significant lift. So if we started at $4,500 average ticket price and we added $2,000 to $3,500, we'll call it for this exercise $2,750. We have a new average ticket price after training of $7,250. But for our exercise, we're going to back it down. With my comfort advisors that I'm working with, we have seen $7,000 average ticket price. We've seen guys at 10,000 average ticket price. $12,000 is becoming an average ticket price. Our group average ticket price target has been risen to $9,000 from $7,000. So can it be done? Absolutely. Share what's possible. I always talk about trying to push a rock up the hill by yourself. You need to get your team behind it. You need to be involved in the financial aspects of your business. They need to know what the goals of the company are, and they need to participate in it. So make sure everyone understands their role. Bring your team in on the goals so they understand what it is. And don't leave this session today wanting to get to the number that I'm going to share with you. Crawl first, then walk, then run. Accept nothing less from the people once you set the targets. And it's going to take you 24 months to benefit from these results. And after that, look out. So the results are in. We've done everything that we talked about, and we have in our organizations. We're looking now at results and not excuses. We're going to look at the fast facts of our $1.5 million company. The average annual spend has not changed, $50,000. No change in our spend. However, the average annual number of inquiries has leaped from 1,000 to 1,250 based on our technicians and our maintenance people delivering opportunities off of demand service. Customer conversion rate, CSR conversion rate from 50% to 65% of inquiry to appointment. Our number of in-home visits has risen from 500 to 813. Our closing rate has gone from 45% to 61%. Our average number of sales from 225 to 495. The average ticket price per sale gone from 4,500 to 6,500. Our gross sales were $1,012,500. With service and maintenance, we were a $1.5 million company. However, after the training, after everything that we've done, our new revenue is at $3,223,545. Like I said, it's going to take 24 months to get there, but it is possible to increase your business 25 to 30% very easily. This is a 300% increase over a period of time. It works. I don't know what your numbers are. I don't know what your conversion rate is. I don't know what your closing rate is. I don't know what your average ticket price. Only you know that. But I've explained to you now how to take that information and see what is possible. The hard facts that we talked about before, we've gone from in-home appointment cost from $100 down to $61. Cost per sale from $222 down to $101. You do business with 22 out of every 100 customers. If you do what I just suggested now, you're going to do business with 40 out of every 100 customers. That's expressed interest. That's a huge increase, 39.6% increase. This concludes our three-part mini series, and I hope you've had a few aha moments throughout these sessions. I thank you, and I open the floor up for questions. My name is Glenn Mellors, GLENNMELLORS, gmellors@climatecare.com. My phone number 519-861-1895. Any questions from the floor?
Thank you, Glenn. Yes, we have a couple. Because we're short of time, so we'll only be able to address maybe two.
Okay.
One question is, how are your metrics changing with the more impersonal texting and email communication rather than phones?
How is it changing? It's improving. The metrics are improving with the ability to communicate the way we do. We're seeing a big uplift. What we're trying to do is get the technician on site to contact the sales lead coordinator as quickly as possible and contact the comfort advisor to be in that home within hours of that visit. So you're actually booking appointments now without leaving the home. So that's the tremendous opportunities we have now with technology. So every aspect of the metrics that we see has been improved with the technical opportunities that we have through, cell phones, tablets, laptops, cameras. There's a new program out there, just going to take 2 seconds to explain. New program out now where you can have your technician on site with a head camera, much like a GoPro, and someone on the phone doing the surgery, if you will, with the technician in a remote location. So that's where technology is taking us to. Question number 2.
Okay, thank you. Another one is from Julie Burden. I've asked her to unmute herself and ask you this question directly because I'm not sure what she meant. So Julie, ready when you are?
Thank you. When the question is based on, I guess, leapfrogging off the last one with the use of technology, I've seen competitors in my market now offering a virtual quote where video photos are uploaded and a comfort advisor doesn't have to go on site. How do you see that changing the metrics or how business is done? I mean, we can say, well, it's best, truly best that our comfort advisor is on site, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't know if that's the future. So you could just comment on that.
That's a really good question, Julia, and thank you for that. Because I was convinced a year ago that we were going to invest heavily into virtual salespeople. Matter of fact, we did spend some time creating and perfecting a sales process for virtual sales. Unfortunately, our consumers still like face-to-face. Our closing rate is still higher face-to-face. Our average ticket price is still higher face-to-face. So although I was gearing up for that, I don't see it having the success that we were having with in-person. And I think the only thing I can boil it down to is it's harder to build rapport with someone over a computer and gain that trust factor. That's really, I think, a big portion of our sales process still is trust. And I'm not saying I'm closed to the idea, because certainly technology is going to eventually lead us there, but the process has to match the generation. And the buying generation that we're faced with today is not necessarily at that phase. Are our children and grandchildren going to be doing this over internet? Absolutely. Well, even our young people today, maybe people are buying cars over the internet, spending thousands of dollars and homes over the internet. For some reason, with a furnace and air conditioning, they still want to see us in the home. Does that coincide with your thoughts, Julie?
Yes, I think that point about trust is important. However, Glenn, those young folks are catching up really fast. I mean, you can buy so many things for your home now. I just thank you. Thanks for your comments.
You're welcome. Yes, is Amazon going to be delivering a few furnaces in the future? Probably. I see there's 5 things in the chat there, and I don't have access to that. Sadia, can you read those to me?
So the chats are up to date. I'm just going to double check. It's nothing to do with any questions.
Okay.
And we are almost done with our session. So if anybody has any questions, please let us know. And this ends our presentation for today. I hope our members found this informative. Additionally, please complete the evaluation survey that will appear on your screen at the end of the webinar. And with that, have a great afternoon, everyone. And thanks again, Glenn.
You're welcome. I appreciated the opportunity to talk to the folks. Hopefully we've made your business better.
Take care. Bye, everyone.